everybody. Number one agenda item is apologies. Any apologies?
The only apologies I've got so far is just from Graham Boyce, Corporate Director. He's on leave this week.
Thank you. Yeah. Number two, declarations of interest. Anybody? Any declaration of interest? No. No. Number three, urgent matters agreed by the chair. There are no urgent matters agreed by the chair, so we'll move on to agenda item number 4, which is the Gypsies and Travellers Accommodation Assessment Report by the Task and Finishing Group. Could I ask, is Barry Mellor is the chairman of the group, and we've got Angela Loftus and Kim Wallers, project manager, and Emlyn as Emlyn going to start the, or Barry?
I can come in there, Chair. Thank you. Just to give some background for this report, the Council has a legal duty under the Housing Act Wales 2014 to carry out the Gypsy and Traveller Accommodation Assessment every 5 years. The deadline for the new GTAA is to be submitted to Welsh Government is February 2022. This is also one of the needs assessments that is needed for the replacement local development plan. Taking on board feedback from scrutiny on the previous work, a project board has been put in place to manage the GTAA, which includes the leader and Councillor Mark Young as lead member. The project board were keen to seek the support of scrutiny in the project, and it was agreed at the Community Scrutiny Committee on the 13th of May that a task and finish group would be a good way to do this. Scrutiny had also previously said there needs to be an early engagement with members in this area of work, so this approach definitely helps meet that request. It was agreed that the role of the task and finish group would be to make sure that the approach taken by Council is robust and follows the Welsh Government methodology, and that there is a strong communication and engagement plan in place. The 6-member area groups each nominated a representative to attend the task and finish group meetings, and at the first meeting the group agreed the terms and reference, and as I was nominated as chair and Councillor Peter Scott was elected as vice chair. The work for the task and finish group can be split into 2 stages. The first stage has been about looking closely at the approach that will be used to carry out the Gypsy and Traveller Accommodation Assessment, identifying stakeholders and ways to communicate. At this point, the assessment hasn't yet started. This work is about getting an up-to-date understanding of the needs and isn't about looking for any sites. The second stage of the process will bring the task and finish group back to monitor progress, advise and make sure that the process has been followed properly. There have been 4 meetings of the task and finish group between May and the beginning of July. Members have made a big commitment to attend these meetings, and I think have learnt a lot through this process. The first meeting was an introduction to what we needed to do and the project structure and how we were going to approach the work. Meetings 2 and 3 involved a lot of work looking at the Welsh Government methodology in much more detail. We talked about how the assessment would be carried out and what sort of data would be collected and how that would be analysed. We also met the independent consultant from an organisation called Opinion Research Services, who will be undertaking the assessment for the council. The group was satisfied that the consultant was knowledgeable and experienced in carrying out these types of assessments. The final meeting was to look at the work brief and the stakeholder communication and engagement plan. These documents included everything that is required by Welsh Government but also include all of the requirements from the task and finish group. Some examples of our extra requirements include asking for additional information to be collected when officers are going out to unauthorised encampments to give a bit more of an understanding as to the travelling patterns. We have also asked for an online survey to be sent to elected members and city, town and community councils as part of the assessment, as this may provide additional information on travel patterns in local areas that will help to inform the understanding. Elected members may also know of families in their communities who might want to take part in the survey, and they will be able to pass information on to the consultant through the survey process. We will also be asking members to put up some posters in their local communities to encourage any eligible families to come forward and take part. We felt that it was important to engage with the health and the police to help to promote the assessment with any gypsy and traveller families that might have contact, i.e. through health visitors. We were all satisfied at this meeting with these documents and feel that the approach is well planned and is ready to start. We would like to remind scrutiny members that the task and finish group haven't finished their work, so we will be meeting again in September to receive an update and check that the process agreed is being followed. We expect to meet again in October when the assessment process is at its end to provide some quality assurance and again make sure that the methodology has been applied properly. The next step would be for the task and finish group to feed back to the project board. The project board will ensure that the findings from the assessment is shared with elected members and with scrutiny committee before then seeking final sign-off from cabinet. So to conclude, I have come to scrutiny committee today as the chair of the task and finish group to report that the group is satisfied with the proposed approach to the gypsy and traveller accommodation assessment and communications that is planned. You can see from the documents with the report the amount of work and preparation that has been put in. You're aware as well that the task and finish group will continue to have close involvement. We would therefore recommend to Community Scrutiny Committee that you endorse the work brief and the stakeholder engagement and communications plan and support the start of the assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you. And can I thank the task and finishing group as well? There's a lot of work gone in there, and thank you for the documents. Emlyn, would you like to add, or Angela, would you like to add before we go to questions?
But well, I'll just keep my video off, just some connections issues. But thank you very much. You know, I've certainly not got much to add to that excellent outline by Councillor Mellor. Really, there. I know that Angela and Kim are here, and we were all supporting the group. I think just to reaffirm, really, the sheer amount of work that the group's undertaken, it's been really excellent. And as Barry has mentioned there, you know, some recommendations and some additional suggestions that have been really valuable have come out of that work as well to add to the approach. So it's been really, really good from that perspective. But I've got nothing further to add to what Barry's outlined there, and unless Angela or Kim wish to add anything before we go into questions. So diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Emlyn. Angela, Kim, would you like to?
Nothing to add from me, thank you. I think Councillor Mellor has summed it up very well, so nothing to add from me.
Lovely.
Nothing to add from me either, Chair.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. I've got Peter Scott wants to ask a question, please.
Wasn't a question, Chair. I'm very sorry. It's just an endorsement of what Barry has said. You know, we've scrutinised the methodology set out by Welsh Government, and we'll follow this route and then examine the findings of ORS. I think the hard work will start when the assessments come in, back as Barry said in September, but since May the 19th, we've worked very hard on this, and I would like to suggest that the group stays together for future references. That's all, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Any other members like to ask a question, comments? Everybody's quiet.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Barry.
Yeah, I just like, Chair, I'd just like to say, you know, it's an extensive bit of paperwork, and I think that going forward, maybe into the next round of looking for sites for Egyptian travellers, that we're a lot clearer maybe going into it next time than we possibly were last time. So I'd like to thank the members for the work they've put into this. I think there's some good work done.
Thank you, Councillor Perry. Any other members like to come in? I've got Brian. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses with me. Sorry, Brian, I think.
It's Brian, yeah, just to endorse what everybody else has said, to thank Barry and the team for the hard work. We know the problems that we've had down in Rill. Again, and it's only the start of summer with encampments, and some of them have been quite nasty, unfortunately. You know, but hopefully that the task and finish group under Barry there will do the job, and we can put this problem to sleep in the very near future. Thanks again, Barry and the team, and thank you, Chair, for allowing me to come in.
Thank you, Brian. Any other members like to make any comments? All, Councillor Holland, I think. Yeah, Martin.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, at this stage, really, there's not a lot more to say for us all, because we've sat through this now for 4 meetings. It was just looking at the process that we will abide by. I think the process is a sound one, so no problems, you know, with that. Perhaps one comment, perhaps that officer would clarify for the other members of the committee, the issue around our working with Conway on this one. Just clarify their role in this as well. That would be good for the scrutiny committee members. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Good. Maybe Emlyn or Angela. Emlyn, maybe.
For that, yes. Obviously, the consultants were jointly procured with Conwy Council at the time, but very much 2 separate studies, really focused on 2 local authority areas. So Angela, I'm not too sure whether you've got anything further to add to that, but
yes, thank you, Emlyn. As Emlyn said, we've jointly procured the study, and that was in the interests of obviously saving money a little bit, but also joint working enables us to make sure that there's less risk of double counting, and there's a better understanding of travel patterns and all those kind of things. So it's a good way forward. There will be 2 separate reports at the end of the day, so the needs will be assessed separately, 2 completely separate reports coming from that. The other piece of work that was certainly discussed by the task and finish group, and that the consultants will be doing, is contacting all our neighbouring authorities, so other North Wales authorities, just to get that better understanding of travel patterns, and again trying to avoid double counting. So that's the plan moving forward. I hope that's answered the question, Councillor Holland.
Thank you. Actually, I was aware of that because I've sat through the actual meetings, but I think for the community scrutiny members, that just to point to clarify that for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Angela and Emlyn. I think that is a great way forward of liaising with all authorities surrounding Denbighshire. Great way. I've got Hugh Evans, the leader, ask the hand up. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. I'll switch my screen off in case you can't hear me. Yeah, just to thank the task and finish group and Barry for that. It was so comprehensive. It hasn't left many questions to be answered at this stage, which is good. Can you hear me, Hugh?
Yes.
Yeah, fine. That's really good. And I think the important thing about this, Chair, is that we involve as many people as possible during the process, so that when we get to the end of the day, when a decision has to be made, that we all understand the process and are allowed to ask questions during that process, not at the end of it. Really important that. So the overriding principle is most people are involved, all people understand, and there's a level of internal accountability for everyone's role on this, which is really important. So for me, Chair, the one thing I'd just like clarity on at this stage is the level of internal communication between the task group, the board and scrutiny, to make sure that internal comms is good, so that we all know where we're at with it and when do you need us back, and what does task and finish group want in terms of information and when, really, because we are heading to be making a decision on the housing needs assessment by the end of this council. So if members are not comfortable or members are unhappy, that they have the flexibility to call in, ask questions at the appropriate time. But just thank the task and finish group for all the work. And as we stand today, before recess, so we're not in a bad place in terms of understanding where we're at. Diolch.
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you very much. We do have a process of feeding back into the scrutiny committee meetings at the end of every meeting. So maybe some of the members going forward could feed into us on that. So Barry, do you want to come back in?
Yeah, just to inform the officers, Angela, Kim and Emlyn, as encampments do get set up, illegal encampments, we are taking notes of these and asking questions. But I just want to put you in the picture that over the last week, as Brian mentioned, we've had a terrible situation with an illegal camp right on the grassed area where the stones are for the old High Stefford on the promenade. Denbighshire didn't move very quickly because they thought they were only people that were camping, because not only were they mobile homes, there were tents. So these people have now started to change tack. And I think it's something we need to be wary of. They rode over the pavements to get onto this land. The police moved very slowly. The person who's been dealing with it is Liz Grieve, Tony Ward. We had an emergency meeting on Friday with the police. To say I was disgusted with what the police said is an understatement. That they had to catch these people driving over the pavement to be able to move them on. Now, they drove over, they couldn't have got there anywhere else. They didn't drop out the sky. They drove over the pavement. They broke the law, but the police don't see it that way. So it's just for Angela and maybe Kim to have a word with Liz to get the full background of it and to build a bit in there, because they are changing tack. They're using tents now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. Is that something maybe the task and finishing group could look forward and put some recommendations on how we deal with this a lot quicker than maybe we are or not?
With regards to illegal encampments, there was a report in front of scrutiny a few months ago about the procedures to deal with illegal encampments, and the fact that I think Steve Gadd has done some work in this area, and they're looking to appoint an officer to deal with them.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, but who? It's Emlyn here. Apologies, I can never find my hand on Zoom for some reason. These different systems. But yeah, I think it's an important point. I think we'll certainly pick up on any intelligence from these local situations now that Barry's just mentioned there, because that's important to feed that into this process. I guess the task and finish group is very much focused on the gypsy and travellers accommodation assessment rather than unauthorised encampments. But the intelligence and the information coming from those incidents needs to be fed through. So I think that's an important point. I was only just chatting to Councillor Mark Young this morning about this situation. So that's something we'll be picking up with the police, but also looking at what powers are available to tackle these types of, tents. We haven't had that much in the past, actually, of tents and so on, and I guess some kind of version of wild camping to some degree. So I think we need to pick up on that as a new issue and to understand what powers we have to deal with it as well across different partners. So it's something we'll definitely pick up on. I'm not too sure whether it's something the task and finish group needs to be focused on itself, but it's something that's going to be of use as information to feed into that process. So, but we'll certainly be picking up on those issues this week. Diolch.
sorry, diolch Emlyn. Yes, it's not this task and finishing. What should we be dealing with this? So I'm sure Brian and Barry will take that up with Emlyn going forward. I've got 3 speakers. I don't really want to touch on what's just been discussed by Barry and Emlyn, so we'll go to Brian Blakely first and then Cheryl.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to say that, and I didn't want to go on exactly what you're saying, there are those, unfortunately, that do support this sort of thing. And there was a big outcry on Facebook regarding these travellers using the motorhomes down there along with the tents. The biggest I saw was all the washing that was all the way down the promenade on the fences, and it was really, really bad, and it wasn't good.
Thank you. Thank you.
But can I just say, there was an outcry by other people that feel that Denbighshire is not doing enough for the people coming into Rill with
Right, I'm going to have to stop you there. Emlyn said he's going to have a look into it, and I'm sure he'll come back to Rill members and sort that out with you guys. So
okay, I like Barry, quite happy to talk to Emlyn over this regarding what's been said on Facebook by a lot of residents in Rill.
Brian, thank you very much. Right, Cheryl next, please.
Yeah, it was just to say that when myself and Brian have dealt with this sort of issue in the past, Brian Blakely that is, when we've had them at the school and things like that, we've had a gentleman called Gerald whose surname escapes me, but Brian will remember who he is, and it's been dealt with within an hour or 2. He's very, very quick. I don't understand what the length of time is this time.
Sorry, this isn't the time or the place. Please take it up with Emlyn. Thank you very much. Sorry for stopping you, but we've got to stick to the script, I'm afraid. Hugh Erling, please. Hugh, you put your...
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Yeah, trying to talk just general rather than that particular incident. I was under the understanding that in
Can you turn your camera
off? Okay. In recent times, a document came to committee that was a protocol, and it followed incidents in Prestatyn. A document came which was a protocol and a list of actions of what was to be done when there was an illegal encampment reported. So I think maybe we ought to scrutinise in the light of later developments how effective that protocol actually was in dealing with the later situations. Has it been useful? Has it been a waste of time?
We were going to stop you, sorry, again. Somebody needs to call it into scrutiny, I think, for an urgent item for maybe September. Rian's looking at me. But if we're not happy about it, let's call it into scrutiny under an urgent matter. I'm sure we can do that for September.
Thank you.
By all means, I can make inquiries. I'm not quite sure where the protocol is up to as yet. I can make inquiries on that for you, but it wouldn't be classed as an urgent matter because that's defined by law. But you could fill a proposal form in by all means, send it through to me and we can have a look at it and see when it can be brought back.
Would you like me to submit a protocol, a proposal form, Rhian, or will you make your inquiries first and let me know whether it's a valid subject?
It's entirely up to you, Councillor Irving. I can make inquiries in the interim and see where they're up to with it and let you know. Or if you want to fill a proposal form in, that's fine.
Okay. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind just feeding back to me where you get to with your inquiries, it'll be helpful with my form, as it were.
Thank you, Hugh. Emlyn, did you done all?
Diolch, Hugh. I found my hand now, so that's helpful. Just to advise Rhian, really, Steve Gadd and Liz Grieve are leading on that corporate process. I think it's near enough finalised, and as you've just mentioned there's a recruitment process now for a new Gypsy and Travel liaison officer. Not sure whether they've appointed yet, but it's certainly going on at the moment. So if you need any information about that corporate process for dealing with unauthorised encampments, it's Steve and Liz, Rhian, so just to help you there.
Diolch, Emlyn.
Diolch, Emlyn. Any more members like to say anything before we go to the recommendations? No, everybody quiet. So can we go to the recommendations on page 4, and it's item number 3.1. The scrutiny considers and endorses A, appendix 2, B, and then 3.2. So could I have a proposer and a seconder? What everybody's endorses these.
I'll propose that, Councillor Hugh Williams.
Sorry, Mr. Bright. And Cheryl, thank you, Cheryl. All in favour, can we have a show of hands? Everybody happy with that? Yeah. Yeah, great. Once again, can I thank Barry and all the task and finishing group members. I know it's a great way of getting down to the nitty gritty. It's a great way of taking more time to scrutinise things. Can I thank Emlyn and Angela and Kim, and thank you all for coming this morning. Rhiannon, is there anything you need to add to that?
No, the only thing, I think the report is down to come to you again once on the task and finish group's final report. I think will be with you. It's currently scheduled for I think it's the 9th of December. Before then it goes through cabinet and I think as part of the LDP process.
Diolch, Rhiannon. Great, thank you very much, everybody, for that today, and thanks to all the staff here today. End of meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you again, boys.